Hello. A few days ago, I made a video about the fate of a doctor called Keith Wolverson. He was at the Royal Stoke Hospital. For those of you who didn't see the original video, what happened was that he had a patient, a child, who had been brought in by his mother. And his mother was a niqab wearing Muslim. And Dr. Wolverson asked the mother to remove her niqab because he couldn't hear what she was saying. That's what he says. I have my theories about that, but certainly not being able to hear doesn't always refer to not hearing the words. It also refers to not being able to see the expression of the mother. Now, it might be, for instance, this is just a hypothetical, but it might be that Dr. Wolverson was looking for signs of abuse. I don't know why that child was in the hospital, but I don't really understand the situation because this was in the Royal Stoke Hospital. It was a hospital appointment, but Dr. Wolverson is described as a GP. So I don't know, maybe they have clinics in the hospital that are ordinary GP clinics, but there may be something more specialised about that. My experience of British hospitals is you only go in there where there's something that a GP can't handle. Anyway, Dr. Wolverson asked the lady to remove her niqab, and she did so. And the consultation proceeded. But then after she'd gone out and spoke to her husband, there was a complaint made about Dr. Wolverson behaving inappropriately, and he's now under investigation. And since I made my video, I have heard that he has said he will not go back to medicine. So it means he's been suspended. So we've lost a doctor, and Wolverson was a doctor of 23 years experience. He's 52 years old, which means he has at least another 10 years to give to his patients that he cannot give. And he's fed up of the whole business. And I wondered why he was fed up of the whole business. After all, I haven't heard that he'd been complained about before. Then I had a conversation about Dr. Wolverson, and this really depressed me. It was a conversation with a GP, a woman GP. And she said, well, I have lots of patients in my practice who wear the niqab, and they're all perfectly lovely. And they have no objection to removing the niqab. Well, of course, you're a woman. They don't mind removing their veil in front of another woman. So that's the first thing. And I'm quite sure they're all perfectly lovely women as well. Why not? But then this GP said something to me that upset me a great deal. She said, well, perhaps he was a little bit prejudiced. I didn't argue with her about it, but the problem is this. I don't care whether he was a little bit prejudiced. He was a doctor. Oh dear, I've got the wrong speaker on. I hope this is coming out all right. He was a doctor. He is a doctor. He's trying to do the best by his patients. He was doing the best. He was listening to the symptoms of whatever was wrong with this child, and he was trying to get at the most appropriate treatment for these symptoms. So that means that whatever was going on deep in his soul, he was doing the right thing. So that little comment, well, perhaps he was prejudiced. It means nothing. It's worse than nothing because it puts him wrong. And this is a colleague who should understand that this man was trying to do the best by his patient, the patient being the child, not the mother. The mother at that point wasn't important. What was important was what was coming out of her mouth, and possibly, I don't know what was wrong with the child, but if, for instance, the child had some sort of unexplained bumps or lumps or bruises, it's quite possible that he was looking for signs of violence in the family, and one of them would be on the face of the woman. And judging from the subsequent reaction, I'd say he's probably justified in thinking that, because the woman removed her niqab without questioning, without making any complaint. It was only afterwards, when she had gone out and met her husband, that the complaint was made, which rather implies to me that it was the husband who made the complaint, not the woman. Which leads me to the suspicion that the husband is a possessive, violent, spoilt brat. And possessive, violent, spoilt brats tend to be rather liberal with their physical expressions of violence, of frustration, rather. Okay, so that's it. I don't know. I have heard that it was the husband who made the complaint. I don't know that for sure. It could have been the woman. She might have felt under pressure to remove the niqab and then later on regretted it. That's entirely possible. But what we are getting down to is that this doctor wanted to do the best by his patient, the child. And that's really all that's important. And he is not going back to medicine because of women like the GP I was talking to. People who will not support him, who will not say, look, this man was trying to do the best by his patient. So he didn't ask the woman to strip. He just asked her to remove enough of her clothing that he could see her face, for which there might have been several reasons, one of which might have been to do with him hearing, another of which might have been to do with him actually considering whether the woman was telling the truth. It's very difficult to see truth on a face that's covered with a veil. And I'm quite sure that Dr. Wolverson is leaving the medical profession, not because of those two idiots who had this problem with the mother removing her veil, but because of the reaction of his colleagues. If we can't expect the British medical oppression, that's a Freudian slip. If we can't expect the British medical profession to stand up for their own professionals, then we really are up the creek without a paddle. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe, and if you wish to donate, click the subscribe star link where you can make a one-off payment or set up a regular contribution, or I have a PayPal account at grannyopteryx@gmail.com. Till next time.